Should we expect Donald Trump to make an apology this evening?
No. No, we shouldn't. I don't think in the 9 years that Donald Trump has been on the public stage that he has ever sincerely apologized for anything. They knew who those comedians were. They knew what jokes they tell. They put them up there, and they wanted to rally their base with that. The thing is, you're right. He is going to this town in Pennsylvania that is more than 50% Latino and only 30% white. So his base there are all lining the streets, I understand, with filming it and all of that. But he's going to get up there and face possibly an irritated, if not hostile, crowd. And the city was so concerned about this that, as you mentioned at the top, they closed the schools. And like when we were growing up, they would close the schools so we could go participate in democracy and watch an election happen. They're closing the schools for the children's safety because Donald Trump is in town. And, I think this, the rally and sort of all the things that we saw, just the bold racism just out there and misogyny just laid out there, could possibly be, in Pennsylvania at least, the October surprise that Kamala Harris needs. Because remember, if she wins Pennsylvania by even just a few votes, that gives her a big leg up to the White House.
To think the opening act at Madison Square Garden ends up being the October surprise, a forced error, as a lot of people have said.
Absolutely.
Speak to the contrast, though, of these two candidates. We've already framed where Donald Trump is and what he's up to. Tyler Kendall helped to frame what's happening on the Mall. That's a very familiar-looking view. Remember Donald Trump standing in that very spot on January 6th. A lot of folks thought that Kamala Harris should be projecting a more forward-looking message, a more optimistic one, rather than bringing us back to a very troubling day in our history. What do you think?
Well, it depends. We'll have to see what she actually does tonight. They did say in a press call earlier today that she was going to do exactly that. She couldn't ignore the elephant in the room and ignore the Madison Square Garden rally. She's already talked about it quite a bit. And she does want to remind people, especially those independents and centrist Republicans, that, he is a danger, that she believes he's a danger to democracy and all of that. But once again, people know that. Everybody knows who Donald Trump is. And given in the absence of a plan, people will vote for a bad plan. So she really needs to get the speech. We saw excerpts, that show that she does talk about how awful she thinks Donald Trump is at the beginning, and she talks about that she'll be good for America at the end. What I'm waiting for is to hear the middle part, where she needs to give, as they promised they would do, a forward-looking, detailed economic and immigration plan. She needs to get that out in these final days for the people who haven't yet already made their decision, as tens of millions have.
Well, we'll be hearing a lot more about this. Put a finer point on the message this evening when we speak later this hour with Ian Sams, Kamala Harris's campaign spokesman. Bloomberg's Wendy Benjaminson, thank you so much for setting us up for that conversation. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont offering support to Harris through the lens of the war between Israel and Hamas last night on social media. Listen.
Some of you are saying, how can I vote for Kamala Harris if she is supporting this terrible war? And that is a very fair question. And let me give you my best answer. And that is that even on this issue, Donald Trump and his right-wing friends are worse.
This comes as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu holds a meeting this evening with Lebanese officials to reach a diplomatic solution. Joining us now is Bloomberg's Dan Flatley from our national security team here in Washington. Dan, it's great to have you. There is news that Netanyahu says he's open to a very short-term truce. We're talking 2 days, as suggested by Egypt, in return for what I believe at this point is still 4 hostages. Is this a real issue on the table?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that Israel needs to be able to show, and Netanyahu needs to be able to show, that they are willing to negotiate, but that they're going to do it in exchange for something that they need and want very badly, which is the return of some of the hostages. So I think that it signals an opening rather than it being some sort of conclusive deal that is going to, solve the fighting, obviously. But it does seem to suggest that we are getting to a place where Netanyahu feels that he can begin to negotiate, begin to have these discussions, not just with respect to Gaza, but also with respect to Lebanon as well. And we did see some commentary out of the Israeli government today that the campaign in Lebanon may end toward the end of the year or may begin to wrap up. So it's an interesting mix of signals, and obviously we had the response, the Israeli response to the Iranian strike, an Israeli strike on Iran over the weekend. So things are moving a little bit at a time, but certainly an interesting mix, a little bit different from where we were a week or two ago on this particular issue. Mm-hmm.
Well, to your point, it was the Israeli finance minister who was giving a press briefing regarding the 2025 budget, and he said the war with Hezbollah should be over by the end of December before we reach 2025. So it does make you wonder how the financial considerations are factoring into Israel's calculus. All that said, if we do see an end to the conflict with Hezbollah, does that not go immediately back to the conflict with Hamas, knowing Hezbollah said it's acting in support of Hamas and in protest of the ongoing war in Gaza?
Yeah, there's so many different things that have to happen in this region, obviously, for there to be a cessation of fighting as we might think of, as a region-wide ceasefire. I think the Gaza issue is very different from what's happening in Lebanon because you still have those hostages out there. Yeah. You still have a lot of damage, obviously, to the area, to the physical infrastructure in Gaza. You have lingering questions about what will happen after the Israelis withdraw, how far they will withdraw, will they maintain some sort of a security perimeter. So there's many more unanswered questions when it comes to the Gaza issue than with Lebanon, which was always meant to be, or at least seemed to be, a very limited campaign. To the point about the finance minister, it's interesting. I read that comment with a lot of interest because it does seem to indicate where this campaign is going. And certainly when you have a war, you have to pay for it. So that's an important aspect to this. On the other hand, you can't really say a war is going to end at a specific date. It's just not how these things work. So I think it's an indication, it's a signal. Whether it actually means that, December 31st, 2024, the campaign in Lebanon will end and the campaign in Gaza will end shortly thereafter, I don't think we can say that. But it's definitely interesting. And, of course, the election here in the United States coming up next week could play into that as well.